All right, hello, Blaze Radio. I'm Zach Bradshaw. You are watching Blaze Radio's exclusive coverage of the South by Southwest Film Festival live in Austin, Texas throughout this week. And today I have the honor of speaking with multi-Emmy award-winning director Lucian Read. He's the director of one of the feature documentaries here, Lions of Mesopotamia. Its world premiere was last week on Saturday, March 9. There's another screening just here today as well, and all four screenings here at South by Southwest have sold out. Lions of Mesopotamia is a film about the remarkable story of the Iraqi national soccer team's journey to become Asian Cup champions in 2007 during the bloodiest days of their country's civil war. Lucian, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to speak with you, Zach. Thanks for your interest.
Now, first, I want to ask you. So, you were here in Austin for that premiere. What was it like watching this great film kind of come to fruition and seeing your work come to life?
Well, I mean, obviously, it was very exciting. We were, incredibly pleased when we were selected. The audience was wonderful. I was born in Austin and went to high school in Austin and went to UT for a little bit, so it was a bit of a homecoming for me, which was super exciting. And was able to have my family there and all the, kind of all the things you would want. We really, it's a great pleasure. The Q&As were wonderful. People were super engaged. Seems like so far the reaction has been great. And it's mostly been all word of mouth, which just makes it even more kind of exciting. I had a great festival. I'm back home in Brooklyn. Fond, very fresh, fond memories.
So now you spent just about 3 years in Iraq during the years 2004 and 2010. How did that experience affect this film that was eventually to be made?
Yeah. So I worked back, just a slight clarification. So I worked primarily as a photojournalist there from 2004 to 2009. And the 3 years that I spent actually was embedded with the military, which was quite a journey. That experience, really was, the film, the story of the Lions is an incredible story to anybody who would want to make a film about it. For me, it was especially personal because when I was there as a journalist, it was basically bad news all the time. And like I said, I was primarily with the U.S. military, so there was kind of very specific kind of lens on the whole, on the war. I was, very moved and very touched and all the things with the military, but and count many of those people still as great friends, but I didn't really cover the Iraqi side of the war and always felt like, that I failed in some way in my journalistic responsibilities because of that. And so to be able to have the opportunity to tell this wonderful story that I didn't even kind of know existed, which is, as I always say, kind of a commentary on how little Americans understood Iraq, even during the war, was just an amazing opportunity to kind of go back and finally talk about the story of the war from the perspective of the Iraqis, which really, is the most important perspective because they were the ones who were, were living through the middle of it, through no choice of their own. And it's just been incredibly gratifying. It was incredibly gratifying to go back to Iraq, where basically all the film was shot in 2022, and see places I had been before, and kind of experience Iraq in a somewhat normal, peaceful state, right? To kind of see that part of that part of life there was great. And too, like we were, all the players in the film are like national heroes there. So it was a little bit fun to go and spend time with Iraqi celebrities. Everybody wanted to have a selfie with them. Everybody wanted to shake their hand. Everybody, because this story is, it's like the one thing that all Iraqis agree on is like, that was a wonderful thing that happened. And those are wonderful people and they gave us a gift. And so to kind of spend time with them was really kind of remarkable and wonderful.
And so you have obviously filmed many films in different foreign countries and here in the States as well, obviously. But why Iraq? Why did you choose to tell this story, and where did the inspiration come from?
Well, I mean, again, I went to Iraq in 2004 because I was a journalist and it was the most important story in the world, right, at the time. So that's pretty straightforward answer there. Um, and again, it just, it's a remarkable story and it touches on, my own life history. And I think, particularly in this moment as well, I mean, I didn't plan it this way, but like with so much, um, conflict and loss in the Middle East at the moment, I think, on some level it's a timely film, right? Because it's a good reminder that, people caught in the middle of conflicts, even if they seem, you know, other to us, are, have the same hopes and the same dreams and are moved by the same things. And, war doesn't take away, shouldn't take away somebody's humanity. It actually should highlight it. And I felt like the film really does that. I mean, there's one of the remarkable kind of experiences of actually sort of editing and crafting the film was just how much joy there is in the film, which is not really something that you associate with Iraq, right? And every time the film kind of unfolds over about 10 years, and kind of every so often the team would find itself in a place as it was kind of coming together from being teenagers to more or less grown men. Every so often they would find themselves in a place where their uh, their team was able to bring joy to the country, or stand up for the country. And so that was not, I did not have many experiences of joy when I was there working as a journalist. Mostly the joy that I ever documented was the joy of American military people getting to go home. Right. That was pretty much it. And so, finding this whole other texture and this whole other kind of uh, thread of history was, one of the things that made the film such a moving experience.
Yeah, and so you go back in 2022 to film it to film this new documentary. What was it like? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of emotions packed in there, but what were your feelings of being back there to film this documentary?
Well, I mean, Iraq is a very important part of my life, as I've said. And on some level, it's like and I think a lot of veterans would feel the same way too, who served there. In a weird way, it's like a second home, right? Because it's such a formative experience for me. It was like really the first big story I went and covered. So it was a little bit like a homecoming, right? And again, when I was there, it was incredibly dangerous. And to go back and to be able to like go out for dinner and sit in cafes and just kind of like walk around and film stuff were all things that like would not have been possible at all. I guess now what it would be 17 years ago when the most when the 2007 part of the film is set.
And now you get the premiere at South by Southwest Film Festival. What do you think South by Southwest is bringing in doing to your movie?
Well, I mean, it gives it a wonderful stage to premiere in. Correct. Obviously, I mean, there are it's top of the handful of the most important festivals in the country, right? And so it's a great opportunity. The audiences were wonderful. You know, just honored to be there and honored to be selected, and hopefully it's a springboard to bringing the film to a much 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 wider audience.
Now, just for our Instagram audience, can you describe in your words just what is this film? What is the essence of this film? And what does it mean to you?
I mean, the film is, I mean, what I usually describe it as is it's like, it's an inspirational Cinderella story about this Iraqi football team, right? And that in part that's what it is. But it's also really a kind of revisiting of the history of Iraq in the 90s and 2000s at this, very difficult, very violent, oftentimes, very, tragic uh, time in Iraq's history, but it finds the one big thread of joy and hope and unity that connects all that history together, right? I mean, it's a re-envisioning of Iraqi history through the journey of these players and the team, in such a way that it really kind of it's almost like an alternate history to what happened, as people in the United States understand.
And have any people in Iraq seen this film yet?
So far, the only person who's seen it is Nashad Akram, who's the one of the star players. But on Instagram, there's a page, for the film, the Lions movie, and the vast majority of people who follow that page are Iraqis, and many people are like, when is it coming? When is it coming? When is it coming? When can I see this? When are you going to be here? When can I see it? So there is tremendous excitement within the Iraqi football world for it to come back, and that's really I want as many Americans can see it to see it as possible, because it is America is an incredibly important part of the film, and our the war there is an incredibly important part of the film, but really it's an Iraqi story, and the people who really need to see it are the Iraqis. So we'll see what happens with distribution, but I've said it many times. The most important thing to me for the future of the film is that it's available there for people to see it.
And last, really quickly, you just had your film Operation Arctic Circular hit Disney Plus. What was it like, kind of seeing the gratification of that project go on Disney Plus?
Yeah, Operation Arctic here. Thanks for asking. Wonderful. I have a 14-year-old, so opening up Disney Plus and seeing my movie on the top of the homepage was pretty exciting. And that film, I mean, that film is connected to Lions in a way, right? Because it's about veterans, kind of trying to overcome some of the mental burdens of their service by going to the Arctic, and it's all about awe, and about kind of exposure to nature and how that can be palliative, can be healing for trauma. And so for the two things to kind of come out at the same time is pretty remarkable. They are approximately the same age in that they both kind of started in 2020. So having these two things happen at once is is wonderful coincidence. I of course encourage everybody to watch it. It unlike Lion so far, it is available essentially to everyone in the world. So and it's really wonderful. I mean, the veterans that I sort of cast as part of the team are all really moving, wonderful folks. Bob Woodruff is a amazing advocate for veterans. The landscape is incredible. I have a particular fondness for the Arctic, so it was, when I was approached about the film, it was kind of like, you've got my two favorite things, right? Which is like veterans and sea ice, and so whatever I need to do to make this happen, just let me know. So yeah, thank you for asking.
So incredible. Again, congratulations on the opening here at South by Southwest. I can't believe all for children sold out. That is so cool. So cool for you. You're doing great things, and I just cannot wait to see what you do next.
Great. Thank you, Zach. Have a great time in Austin.